What did he say? Yes? Okay, it's hard to hear him.
Oh,
All right.
okay, now I hear him.
All right. I'd like to welcome everyone to the March 7th Town of Monroe Board meeting. Can we please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Okay. Can I get a motion to open up this evening's meeting with March 7th, 2022?
I'll make that motion.
Bingham to second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Pool eye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Oh, sorry. Begin I.
Wow, he's ready to go tonight. I like that.
Mike is fired
I like
up.
that.
He's ready to go.
He's usually like 4-second delay in it, you know?
All right.
All right.
Oh, boy.
So a couple of announcements. First off, Sal, do you want to talk about Marcana Cantina?
Absolutely. So I guess I met Rudy about a year ago. He owns Frontera Taco and Tequila in Middletown. He will be opening a second location in Bocce's very shortly. Extensive. Former Bocce's.
Former Bocce's.
Extensive work was done to the building. He basically took it down to the beams, new bathrooms, new floors, new ceilings, new kitchen, reconfigured the bar. The seating is, I think he's at 150 seats. Did a big outside deck, so he's ready to go. He's waiting on some documents. Should be open within a week to 10 days. And Mexican taco tequila menu, and it should be a big hit for the residents here.
A little upscale flair to it, too, so.
Yeah, we were in there last week, and just the work he's done in there is incredible, so.
We're actually looking to hold the Association of Towns meeting there on March 29th. And he was going to provide me an update today, but he said he's got to wait till tomorrow. So we'll wait and see.
I think we'll be okay. By the looks of it on Saturday, I think he's pretty close. He's just waiting on some documents from the Board of Health and from our building inspector, and then I believe he's good to go.
County, too.
County.
Okay. Two announcements. Monroe Clean Sweep will be April 23rd. It will kick off at the St. Anastasia Church in Harriman. There will be four facets of it. First, it's the priority of it is everybody getting on their horses and cleaning up the streets around town. The second is we will have electronic recycling at the Town of Monroe Highway Garage. So bring down all your computers, laptops, tablets, TVs, receivers, typewriters, any. We got a typewriter last time.
Did you really?
Yeah. Actually, and it was a wonderful gentleman who I know. He's a former football coach at Mawa High School, and we were laughing about it. I said, "How long ago did you use?" Oh, I gave this up years ago. So.
You should have kept it. It would have been worth
Yeah.
money.
Yeah, I know. So there's that. There's the tire recycling and the shredding, which those events will be held at St. Anastasia Church in the parking lot. So we hope to get as good a turnout as we had last year. It'll go from around 8 o'clock till 12, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So that's...
Like it gets bigger every year.
Yeah. Yeah, the COVID year was tough, that first year, but, last year was a great response. We ran out of T-shirts. I think that was the first year we ran out of T-shirts. So it was good.
Garbage bags. But it's good. It's a good community day, and, we got a big turnout, and
Isla Bus contributes, our highway contributes, Monroe Village Police, the Monroe DPW contributes, Harriman contributes their DPW and Harriman as well. So it's a good day. Second announcement is our wonderful clerk, deputy clerk, Patty Cash, March 17th this year. She does Dress Down for Leukemia Day. So if anybody out there in TV land and Computer Land wants to make a donation. Just bring it into the town clerk's office. It's a great day. I've been involved with it numerous times over the. So please don't hesitate to make a small donation. Okay. That said, any other announcements anyone has to make? Okay. Item 4.1 is a motion to open up the continuation of the public hearing regarding a petition to amend zoning ordinance Monroe and Integer. We have to withdraw that because they've resubmitted and we rescheduled. This was for their original height. Yeah, and well, the new one has got the three things on it.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah. This was just concerning the height, so I'm going to make a motion to withdraw this public hearing from the docket for the remainder of our lives.
I'll second.
I would just make a motion to close it.
Close it?
Yeah, and that's it. We're just
Yeah.
not acting on it.
Okay.
They're going to withdraw, I'm saying the petition, but we can just close the public hearing because we're not going to proceed with it.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second it.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
All aye.
Cardone, aye.
Oh, aye.
Good night.
Okay. All right, next up is to open the continuation of the public hearing in relation to the increase and improvement of facilities of Water District Number 14. I'll make that motion.
Bingham to second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
All aye.
Cardone, aye.
Ancarello, aye.
Good night.
Okay. No public comment? All right. I was on the phone with our grant writer on last Thursday. We're getting down to the wire for the grants that were submitted for this water district, for the meters. And Dave feels, as was the case the first time, he feels we have a good shot at obtaining something for this. I think the cost associated with it, both the definitely need. I'm speaking into the mic. The mic's not cooperating. So with that said, that's all I have to add regarding it. Anybody else? Any questions? Okay. So if nothing else needs to be said, I will make a motion to keep open the continuation of the public hearing in relation to the increase and improvements of facilities of the Water District Number 8. And let's go this.
14.
I'm sorry, 14. And let's go to the second meeting. April 18th. Okay, at 7 p.m. or immediately thereafter.
Bingham to second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
All aye.
Cardone, aye.
Ancarello, aye.
Good night.
Okay, so moved. Motion to open the public hearing regarding the proposed application for the 2023 Orange County Community Development Block Grant Program, the CDBG program.
Supervisor, you want to go back to Water District 8?
This is what happens when your computer goes down and you. No, I have paper here. I flipped it ahead once. Boom! Boom.
You want me, since I'm the acting supervisor, you want me to go off the agenda here, or since you're having computer
No,
problems?
I got it. All right, so I'll make a motion to open up the continuation of the public hearing in relation to the increase and improvement of facilities of Water District Number 8. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
All aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Good night.
Okay, so moved. No public comment. Anybody else? We're also, that's another grant that we're waiting for regarding the funds associated with any improvements that we do up there. So that was discussed as well as. Said, I will make a motion to keep open the continuation of the public hearing in relation to the increase and improvements of Water District Number 8 for April 18th at 7 p.m. or immediately thereafter.
Bingham to second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Poole, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right. I'd like to make a motion to open up the public hearing for the proposed application of the 2023 Orange County Community Development Block Grant, the CDBG grant. We are in the process of, let me open up the hearing first, sorry. So,
Poole, second.
Poole, second. Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Poole, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Again, aye.
Okay, so moved. All right, so there are a couple of aspects of this that we're looking at. We're looking at some projects at the senior center. We're looking at a little project here, and we just want to consult with our engineers, but this is a formality with respect to the public hearing on it. Other than that, there's nothing else to add to it other than to keep it open, and I would like to keep it open for the first meeting in April, which is April 4th. Okay, so I will make a motion if nobody else has anything to say. Public hearing for the proposed 2023 Orange County Community Development Block Grant on April 4th, 2023 at 7 p.m. or immediately thereafter.
I'll second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Poole, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Again, aye.
Again, aye. Okay. Acceptance of minutes, item 5.1 from February 22nd. Everybody have a chance to read the minutes? Okay. Anybody want to make a motion?
Poole, make a motion that we accept the minutes from the February 22nd meeting of the town board.
I will second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Poole, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Again, aye.
Okay.
I'm having a tough time here tonight.
Okay, general fund abstract. So we have abstract number 22-04 containing checks 28277 through 28293, totaling $328,832.43. I'd like to make a motion to approve that.
Make that motion, or I'll second that motion.
You can second it. Yep, I made it. Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Poole, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Again, aye.
Yep.
Okay, so moved. All right. Next item is the end-of-year budget transfer. Be it resolved, Town Board of Town of Monroe makes a motion to approve abstract number 2022-02, which is the 2021 end-of-year budget transfer. There are numerous items through Justice Court, general repair, et cetera. That abstract number, it encompasses all of them?
I have a question.
Sure.
The ones for the court where I know later on it's in the agenda for the distribution from milligrams accounts.
Yes.
Is that part of this at all?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Call the question?
Bingham, aye.
Poole, aye. Oh,
I did it first, and I thought
And Mary will do
Mary
second.
seconded it. Yeah, sorry. Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Poole, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Again, aye.
Okay. Next up is new business. So for some time now, Councilman Scangarello and myself and Mr. Nugent have been in discussions with an extremely wonderful, sincere, and genuine gentleman. His name is Neil Gold. What he'd like to do is he'd like to bring the Orange County Dinosaur Park to the town of Monroe. Town of Monroe has a parcel of land located on Orange Turnpike, and we see fit that this will not only be financially beneficial to the town of Monroe, it will be a great addition to the residents, it will be great for our county, and it will not only afford us quite a bit of sales tax, as well as some financial benefit. but it will also provide jobs and give us a destination that I don't think in the town of Monroe we presently have. So I'd like to invite Neil and his wonderful daughter up. So what we're going to do first is there's a video. You like us to play the video? Yeah. Do you want us to play it first?
Not yet.
Not yet. Oh, okay. All right.
Neil, do you know what kind of dinosaurs those are?
I see a stegosaurus.
That is a Spinosaurus.
This is Triceratops S1. This isn't exactly Triceratops, but it's in
I want to say that Triceratops esquine, if my memory serves, is a Styracosaurus.
Wow.
impressive.
That is impressive.
Yes.
Oh, that's a stegosaurus.
You can tell that if we get that dinosaur park here, we'll be visiting lots.
That's a triceratops.
I might. That is a Triceratops. Styracosaurus.
And these are your son's toys, hence the birth of an idea, which I'm sure Neil will discuss.
First, thank you for giving me the opportunity to present this to you. I really appreciate it. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
Okay.
Lights on.
I guess the best way to begin is with a story. The story starts with my loves dinosaurs. Has a big collection. Thank you.
Thanks, Val.
Upwards of 200, not of this size, many small ones. And one day in August of 2019, we, Susanna, Niccolo, my little grandson, my wife and I went to a small dinosaur park in Leonia. And I was frankly bored after 20 minutes, but he stayed for 3 hours. He was fascinated by it. And he's still fascinated with dinosaurs. And when he came back to the house, he started to create a dinosaur out of Lego. And I had a eureka moment. I have been working since 2014 on a site in Harriman, all the land around the Harriman train station, which I'm a small part of that ownership. And it really stopped. We decided to wait in 2018. And when I was doing that, I was fully aware of Legoland's impending coming to Orange County. And so the eureka moment was I realized that children who love dinosaurs are the same age as children who love Lego, 2 to 12. Teenagers didn't care about Lego. And most teenagers, unless they're scientifically interested, don't care about dinosaurs. But from 2 years on to 12, that's one of the main concerns, boys and girls. Well, that was August 25th of 2019. There are many things about that park that I didn't like. And I thought to myself, I'm more interested than I thought I would be in this. So I spent the next month looking on the internet at dinosaur parks all over the world. And I never saw anything I liked. Some were very interesting. But they basically showed you dinosaurs. You walked through dinosaurs. Now, I remember at the dinosaur park in Leonia, little Niccolo was the only kid I saw who went from exhibit to exhibit and didn't give up. Other kids were tired after 2 or 3. They needed something else to do. The experience had to be made more interesting for them in order to realize the educational aspects of it. So the more I thought about it, the more I realized that there is a project here, something that could be done. On October 11th, I created in New York State the Orange County Dinosaur Park Corporation. And I immediately went to look for who made these animatronic dinosaurs. It turns out that the company that makes most of them in the world is a company called Genju, G-E-N-G-U, in China. I got in touch with them, and for the next year, virtually every weekday night, we communicated back and forth by email. The only problem was China's 12 hours away, so my daily schedule ended at 2 a.m. I had to go to bed by then, but it began at 10 o'clock at night. So it was fun, and I really got to know people in China and who were entirely non-political. But we worked on this project for about a year. And then I got a little nervous because I thought it was quite interesting what we had done, but I realized that maybe he doesn't know about America. You know, I really need exhibits of how this could work. So I said, do you have any examples of the work in English-speaking countries where I could speak to the people? And he said, well, my best friend in England owns a little dinosaur park that's part of a zoo. And he sent me this video. I'd like to play it now if I could.
Oh, no, yeah, that one. That one, yes.
Sound? That was what I hoped, only bigger. That park doesn't have any play areas, but it has certain elements that we had already designed. The train, which you saw, the dinosaur train, the dinosaur dig, only ours is quite bigger difference. Every child becomes an amateur dinosaur digger, amateur paleontologist. We give them a little shovel and brush and so forth, and they all find dinosaur teeth to take home and tell their friends, and their friends will tell their parents to come to the dinosaur park.
Great.
So as we got into that, I then had occasion to ask, is there anyone else in America who's done this? Because I'm not 50 years old anymore, and I realized I needed younger partners. So I got 2 younger partners, men of considerable accomplishment. But I got the name of somebody who, in Edmonton and Calgary, Canada, who built a park in 2010, which is still operating successfully, and they keep adding to it every year. His name is Keith Lockwood, and he's also a designer, as you'll see. And so Keith is now one of our partners. We're 4 of us, and together we have designed what I think is a most interesting dinosaur park, unlike anything in the Western Hemisphere, certainly. It will have 60 animatronic dinosaurs. They walk, they talk, but slowly. Otherwise, you couldn't walk. You'd hear the next dinosaur next door, so obviously we control the sound. Their tails move, their mouths open. You saw that. Then the train will be on the perimeter of the dinosaur park. Dinosaur park itself is a loop where people walk, and they see dinosaurs every 200 or 250 feet. But there'll be representatives of all types of dinosaurs, of the 3 dinosaur periods. And on the outside of this train ride, inside we'll see the big dinosaurs. On the outside, there'll be 30 smaller dinosaurs. The idea for this came from Bergen County Park, Van Zorn Park. If any of you have seen it, the train goes around a kind of a zoo. Well, when a train moves, even though an animal looks like it's still, it appears to be moving. So the children will find, and their parents will find that it's sort of like an animal kingdom. There'll be families of dinosaurs, and so this will enhance their experience. Also, each of these dinosaurs will go through 2 tunnels. The dinosaurs are a little scary, so each tunnel will have part A and part B. So the 4 tunnels will be A, B, C, and D. You go through the first one, there'll be a sound and light exhibit. That's exciting. Then you go through the next tunnel, half a mile away, there'll be a second sound and light exhibit, somewhat more exciting. Then you come back again, second loop, and you go to the third one. And then you have a July 4th fireworks display at the last one. Something to make it exciting for the kids. So this is an experience they'll all remember. But interspersed with these dinosaurs will be, I'm not sure, it's 5 or 6 dinosaur playgrounds. You had up on the screen examples of the dinosaur playgrounds. We'll get to that in a minute. Well, I might as well tell you that. That one. These are examples. Each of them would take up half an acre, and kids can run, jump, climb, swing, whatever, on these individual playground areas. And they will, the whole idea is to give kids something that amuses them at the same time that they're learning. I was aware in the Leonia site that there was no explanation for the kids to understand what this dinosaur was, what it looked like, how it's related to other dinosaurs. So Keith, my partner in Canada, who's an American, by the way, did an interpretive sign for us. Can you bring that up?
Yeah, I'm emailing it. It's not an attachment. It's actually in the email itself.
Shall I go on? We'll come back to that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Solitaire and stuff.
We'll sick the dinosaurs out here. In addition to these things that I mentioned, there are 2 major Boston, but in the middle of the maze will be holding a puppet dinosaur, fighting and giving. There'll also be 3 unusual. One was on a video that you send you in China, make dinosaur scooters of 3 types. One is a stationary scooter up and down, quite large. Kids climb on, are strapped in, their parents hold them. The second is a child-looking, which they can move with their feet just by walking, a little dinosaur. But the third is the most interesting. They actually ride dinosaurs. Again, this idea came from me because when I was a boy, that's the interpreter sign. I'll come back to that in a minute. When I was a boy, I used to, in the Bronx Zoo, ride camels, elephants, and horses, ponies. And I thought children would love to do that. But I want you to take a look at that sign. As I said, my partner Keith did that. You have to come down a little bit. We're going to have a sign for each of the 60 animatronic dinosaurs. And they ask questions, they teach the children. The parent will not be ignorant. They'll be able to read this to the kids. Kids will think, my parents are amazing, they know all this stuff. And so this is an example of the quality of the work. Keith did that based on information from his own dinosaur park, and our 2 consultants who are professors at the American Museum of Natural History who are consultants. But back to, well, when you're ready, we'll go to the moving dinosaur one.
So encompassing the educational part of it is more a recreational aspect of this.
I haven't gotten to the educational
Okay.
yet, because that's going to, you're absolutely right, Mr. Supervisor. Do you see that? Actually riding dinosaurs at around 1 mile an hour. Now, Keith designed a walkway for them, so to speak, that is itself fascinating, but what kid wouldn't be thrilled to go on that?
I would be thrilled.
I would be
wanna ride
thrilled too. I'm a little too big, but I would lose weight to get on that.
Have an annual race of the board members.
Yeah.
Go ahead, it's coming.
So you can get a sense of what we're trying to do
McGinn,
here.
McGinn's already claiming the Triceratops over there.
Actually, before I came here tonight, my grandson said to me, "Poppy, are you going to make sure that I can cut the ribbon?" I said, "No, probably the supervisor, but you could be the first one."
No, he'll cut
let's
that
put
ribbon.
Let's put it this way. Your son is entitled, your grandson is entitled to cut the ribbon. So,
Let me tell you a little about the educational aspect of it, because this is a crucial element in it. How do you educate? Well, I'm a former professor. You can stand up and lecture. And we will have that in a tent, a 35-foot Spinosaurus tent, which will be educationally be able to see the whole skeleton. Some of you may remember the Bringing Up Baby movie with Katharine Hepburn and Cary Grant when he's a dinosaur expert. You remember it? She breaks the whole thing. I hope this doesn't happen here. But we decided to try to grab something that people don't think about often. Every elementary school in this region sends kids on field trips. What could be more interesting to kids than a field trip to see dinosaurs? I can't think of many things that would be more interesting. How do you get them there? I wanted to do something that was futuristic, but that seemed so far out that it would look like it was from the past. So I'm going to have imported from Oregon, 6 geodesic domes, which look so futuristic. They could be from any period. They could be from a million years ago. And each of these domes will accommodate 45 people standing, 35 people sitting, one class, basically, or a class and a half. And each will have a 65-inch TV in the front. And the teachers who really don't want to do any work when they're on field trips just have to press a button. Each of the 6 geodesic domes will have 10 different films, and each geodesic dome will deal with one subject. One might deal with flora of that period. One might deal with meat-eating dinosaurs. One might deal with herbivore dinosaurs. But the teacher just has to press a button, and whatever she wants, the kids will be there for, say, an hour, half an hour, and then they go to another dinosaur tent, another geodesic dome, which would have another thing. My thought was, and is, that the Dinosaur Park Monroe will become a field trip destination for hundreds of schools in this region, starting from New York City, both private and public schools, way up to Westchester and Dutchess County and so forth, Sullivan County. In addition to that, we're going to have lecturers that will not only explain Spinosaurus rex, but we want to have something at night called Dinosaurs After Dark. That's the label that the Dinosaur Park in Leonia uses. We'll create another name for it, but that's its function. So Dinosaurs After Dark will be something, people will come in at half price. They'll stay for 2 or 3 hours, and there'll be, lecturers describing things for them. But because this is a cold area, I was trying to figure out what we could do to make this not a seasonal venture, but something that would appeal to people all months of the year. Low months for families would be April and May, and September and October. So that's the time we think that we would make up for the lack of normal family admission by the school children, the school admission things. But then I realized that October is a great month for sound and light shows. We recently went to a sound and light show in Hillsdale. I forget what it was, but it was very interesting. They charged $35 to drive through, believe it or not. And Thanksgiving and Halloween is something that appeals to the scariness, the weirdness of things. So I think that's something that we want to have, a Halloween special. And then we'll have a Christmas special in which the dinosaurs will be all lit up. And that'll go from Thanksgiving to Christmas, and we'll probably close New Year's Day and stay closed until beginning of April. And that's the plan at the moment. But I mentioned something the other day to Peter Toohey, whom I had the pleasure of meeting for breakfast, that I've always thought that there's no reason that things have to be always better in the city. I've lived 53 years in a suburb, and generally there's no there. So I thought to myself, what can be done in this season to create something that would bring people to this place? And I thought I could have a temporary ice skating rink for 4 months because the parking lot will not be used as extensively in November, December, January, February, and March as it would be during the height of the season. So I could put an ice rink on that and a big Christmas tree and have a small suburban Rockefeller Center. Why not? So this is something for you. I mean, you have to agree to this, needless to say, but these are my thoughts as this thing develops. It's still developing. We have a plan that we've worked out to our satisfaction. We haven't shown it to you yet because it's not time to do that. But we think that the rejection by Wallkill of our plan was a dreadful mistake. But I think it's going to be to Monroe's benefit. We are much happier with this site for several reasons. Monroe is a much better place. You are 8 minutes, 10 minutes away from Woodbury Common, which has 13 million people. Legoland has 2 million people. As close, we're middle of Legoland's in the middle. I were taking my family shopping to Woodbury Common. I know I wouldn't want to go shopping, and if I had sons, they probably wouldn't want to go shopping either. So they're going to go to the Dinosaur Park. Our admission price, by the way, is half price of Legoland. Legoland is charging $71 and $30 for parking. Our parking is free. And their food, I forgot to mention 2 other things. One of the things I noticed in the Dinosaur Park, there was nothing to eat, and there was no place to buy things, a small, tiny store. Well, you saw the store in England, and what child wouldn't want some remembrance of a dinosaur park, whether it's a stuffy? I think I sent you a copy of a stuffy. You may bring it up that would on ice skates. One of the things I sent to the super.
You have it?
It's called Rexy on the Rink, a dinosaur stuffy. We'll have food is going to be served from 5 food trucks, different ethnic and type foods. And the food will be a variety, but it will be priced the way a normal sandwich would be priced, $10, $11, $12 for everything. And the same thing with the store goods that will be sold. They'll be mid-priced items for most families can afford. No, that's not it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's Rexy on the Rink. You notice his ice skates? Keith designed that in 2 minutes.
If you get him a little Irish dog, we could call him McGinn and his dog Finn.
What's in a name?
Emerald green.
Yeah.
So you get, the other thing that I want to mention is we have very few buildings. We have a main building, we have 2 storage buildings, and 3 restroom buildings. And that's it. The rest is tents if we have them. The dining area will need a tent to cover because the sun is so strong in the summer. If we have the skating, if you approve that and you think it's a good idea, we'd probably have a tent to stop the wind and have some tiered seating. But mostly there are very few buildings here. And the buildings are very simple. The storage buildings are simply green steel buildings where we have a lot of vehicles for maintenance work and road cleaning and groundskeeping. They have to be stored in the winter. The dinosaurs have to be put in burlap. We cover them with burlap, but they can stay in place. But a lot of things are movable. The small dinosaurs we'd probably move inside. So we need these 2 storage buildings. We need an easement through the abutting property. Property's owned by the people who own Mansion Ridge, and we need easement of about 1,240 feet by 50 feet. It's not an easement that will have any vehicles on it, any wheeled vehicles. All it will have would be a pedestrian walking path and a track for the electric train. The one thing the guy in England told me, he said, make the train big enough for adults. He said, I made a mistake. I made it only for children. So we designed a train that is accommodating for adults. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's the project. I think it will bring roughly 250,000 to 300,000 people the first year to Monroe. According to the state standard, each tourist spends $144 a person. It should benefit so many people. The state of New York thought highly of this project and gave us a grant of $1.7 million, the new NY State EDC, Economic Development Corporation, the largest grant given to a private organization. They said to me that other than Niagara Falls and Legoland, this would probably bring more tourists to New York State than anything outside of New York City. I hope they're right. That's our plan.
I have questions if you guys want to go first. I mean. Yeah, go ahead, Councilwoman Bingham.
Would this be all done in 1 year, or would it be phased in? Like you said, possibly you could do the ice skating rink, so the dinosaur park could be built like 1 year, and the ice rink could be built in another year?
Thank you for the question. The dinosaur park would be built all at once, but the ice skating rink, if you approve that, would only be built and opened in part of the year on the parking lot. It's removable. It's temporary ice, but you couldn't tell the difference. I couldn't tell the difference. I've seen the temporary parks. So that would be only seasonal, obviously in the cold weather. But otherwise, the park would be built at once and at one time. As I said, there are very few buildings. It's in placing the dinosaur parks, everyone has to be put in place properly. We're going to helicopter in some dinosaurs to bring the newspapers and television people out. Keith did that in Alberta, and every paper in Western Canada covered it, every news station. So I can imagine dinosaurs flying into Monroe. It should be great.
Okay. I love it.
Thank you.
So I love the educational aspect, and children learn best when they're playing. So the idea of having all of these tactile, hands-on kind of elements, and then coupled with that information plaque with the map of the United States showing which states this dinosaur was or would have roamed, I think is fantastic.
Let me add one thing that I completely forgot. We designed, again, I learned from when I took my daughter and now her son to Van Zorn Park in Bergen County. We'd always go on the train, never once, he's always on it 2 or 3 times, and they have a carousel there. You may have seen the carousel, it's kind of wonderful. So we designed a carousel here, and we designed dinosaur animals. They're wonderful. If I have your email addresses, I'll send it to you all. It's just wonderful. 6 completely unheard of dinosaur designs, which the kids ride, accompanied with the kind of music that you'd have on a carousel. All of this is designed to make the experience unforgettable, both for parents, children, and grandparents.
So I have a couple of questions.
Please.
My first question is, when you take a look at that play equipment, obviously there were no trees shown in those pictures, and that lot is quite wooded. So approximately...
have to come down.
A lot of trees have to
Yeah,
come down.
yeah.
Okay.
But the dinosaurs will not be, except for a few, will not be untreed, so to speak. They will be located within a
Within the
tree
trees.
environment.
Okay. But for those that, I guess it would be a total of 1 acre of property where the playground equipment would be.
Yeah, we couldn't have trees there.
Okay. Have you thought about an opportunity to replant in other places?
We expect to plant everywhere in order to, not only grass, but trees and shrubs. I mean, I come from that kind of a background. I hate the idea, but you can't build something without cutting the trees down. It's
No,
not
I know
possible.
that. I know that. Okay,
Alas.
but I'm glad to see that you've thought about
Oh, it's very important.
reforestation after that comes down. My next question, I pray that when this comes to fruition, that this is as popular as you say that it will be. But with that popularity will come traffic. So how will we work the traffic that this will draw onto Orange Turnpike?
Given a lot of thought to that. We had this same issue all came up, studied by Craig. We'll come to the dinosaur 3 hours at a time. No one will stay in the morning. Constant movement. Main body of people 11:30 and 2.
Pull your microphone just a little bit closer.
I'm sorry, I beg your pardon. Tell me if you can hear me.
I can hear you. I'm just concerned that
not
the
going.
people in TV land won't hear you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Orange Turnpike is a 2-lane road, but it's a very good 2-lane road. Not all 2-lane roads, the county roads are in as good shape as that is. But we need a deceleration lane so that the traffic that comes off to enter our park will first enter a deceleration lane so that other traffic will not have to slow up while they make a right turn into the property. One of the things that concern me is how you exit the property. Now, I don't think it's safe to make a left turn out of the property. I think we're going to insist, and I hope you'll insist that we do this, we have right turn out only. The right turn out will get you to 17 going either east or west. But I do think that you can make a left turn into the property when you're coming toward Monroe on Orange Turnpike, because the sight distance, as the supervisor told me, is long enough to accommodate that. But if necessary, they'll have to go around. But I think our traffic engineers and your people will agree that that is exceptional. So I think the maximum traffic we'd have per hour in the main hours, remember they're roughly 3.5 to 4 people per car, would be about 200, maybe 250 cars each of those hours, probably a little less. They calculated 167 cars in Wallkill at the maximum peak, but I'm going a little further and say it could be as much as 250. But I doubt it will be that high.
Neil, great presentation, thank you. What is your opinion on the economic impact, tourism-wise, this will bring to Monroe, to our village, to our restaurants, to our, what is this going to be for the growth for this community?
Well, let me give you a partial answer. What happened when Legoland was announced? If you've been to Middletown, you know what happened. There's 10 hotels that came up because of Legoland. Now, I don't think you'll get 10 hotels, but you'll probably get 3 or 4. I know that one is in the works now because Woodbury, where I have done a lot of work and still own some property, Woodbury has only approved 4 hotels, 2 of which are going to be built by Woodbury Commons. So you're talking about 2 hotels. You know how many people would come to hotels if they could shop more than one day at a time? Woodbury it's not smart not to have authorized more hotels than they've done. I think that will happen in Monroe. Directly answering your question. I think the income potential somewhere between $40 and $50 million of new money coming into Monroe. How it will be spent, I don't know, but it will be spent. But the educational aspect that I mentioned, the children digging and telling their friends, when people come to Monroe, I mean, it's beautiful. When I drive around Monroe, it's just a beautiful town. People want to live here if they see it. How do you get people to come here unless they come here? So if you bring them here, they might live here. They might want to live here. So that's my thinking. You have to create an incentive for people to come to an area. When they see how beautiful the area is, they may want to come here, or they may want to come back. We're going to sell season tickets. I hope people will come back 3 or 4 times. I'm sure, well, I spoke to Peter Tui the other day, and I learned from him about the supervisor that many of the people who settled here came here at first in summer homes, not all year-round homes. Well, it's the same theory that I'm propounding here, that if they come, they'll stay. But it takes a little time. It won't happen in a year, but we're not talking about a year. Mr. Scarlett, that's the best answer I can give you.
That's good. That's good. I feel it's going to be a good impact on the community also, and, you know, bring more economic development to our community, which we've been working on for years here as a board. So I think it's a plus. I think your idea is a plus. I think it's, you know, a great concept. And I, like Dory said, I hope it comes to fruition as well. We really do.
We had breakfast at the Empire Diner. The man who owns it came out and chatted with us. And when he saw the pictures, he knew immediately it's going to be more business for him.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Are you 7 days here every day? You plan to be open, or is there a?
Yes, 7 days.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And you mentioned something about food trucks, 4 or 5 food trucks on site. Can we help maybe organize some local food trucks to be in there, or you have that?
We're going to have our own food management. We have
Okay.
selected somebody who's done that. There'll be a variety of foods, but we want to run that because I think it'll be safer for us to run it.
Understood.
Keep the quality uniform, and the plastic and paper dishes uniform. By the way, I forgot to mention that this will probably have, we say 130 people working there. The reason we say that number is when you deal with the state, if you give a larger number, they can hold you to it. So I gave them a smaller number. But I actually think the number of people who will be working here is 172. That's a lot of jobs.
Yes.
And no one will earn less than, we're talking now 1.5 to 2 years, less than $20 an hour. No one.
Excellent.
That was a great presentation, and thank you for coming up, and it was very interesting. I'm just going to run through some pros and cons, and then I got a couple of quick questions for you. Before I do the pros and cons, I just want to, I'm not sure if you're aware, but a full mastodon skeleton was excavated right here in Harriman.
Yes.
And is assembled at Museum Village in one of the buildings there, which is pretty cool. So to go from that mastodon that was dug up, and I think they hit it during the construction.
Yeah, wasn't
Like
it
a
by
road
Marina
construction
Pizza?
or something like that, and they found it and put it together. So it'd be nice to have.
Mill Pond, yeah, it was a mill pond.
What's that?
It was a mill pond.
It was in the Mill Pond, all right.
Okay.
I thought there was one down in Harriman too, or a partial one or
I
something.
think that's the one that's in Museum of Natural History.
Oh, okay, yeah, so, you know,
Maston's farm, it was found in the 1790s. I read this book to my son literally this morning.
Oh, okay. Board might know him, I don't know. Go ahead, Mike,
we
sorry.
have so obviously we have a little dinosaur history going up here in Monroe. The pros, as I see them, of course, are ratables, taxes, money that goes directly to the town. Income for the local businesses is another huge. Sal had asked you about what you anticipated being. Listen, if a small fraction of that. Mentioned Woodbury. Nice, you don't get a lot of spillover.
I
See this
know
as
that.
a draw for that to finally get people away from them, which they don't want, of course, and more towards us. And I think it's a great draw for that. I think
I
it's
comment on
fantastic.
that. Dave Mistretta, who is the manager for 12 years of Woodbury Common, and I have a very good relationship. He's excited about this.
Oh, good.
You know,
Well,
yeah,
I
he
hope
thinks
he's
it's a
excited
great
about losing
idea.
some of his concession sales up here, but we're
You know
glad
Woodbury
we'll be
Common
glad
has
to
the
have them up here and do what we can
Huge
to-
sales per
Yeah,
foot.
maybe
They're
you could
not
run a
worried
bus
about
from Woodbury
what they'll
Commons to
lose.
here or something like that to kind of scoop some of those people out of there. Obviously, it's a boost for local tourism. We're already kind of seeing an ecotourism, city you want to go hiking, and it's been great. The cons, which we've already really discussed, I think, is traffic and noise. So obviously, the other thing is. Mentioned some of these parks, so kind of an analysis done how. Not talking into my mic here. If you could get an analysis of how these parks have affected residential property values where they've been erected, or built. So those are the pros and cons that I see with it, and again, lots of positive things and some stuff that I think would be fantastic for the town. Couple of questions. I know you had mentioned these the tents, and so would those be 12-month structures?
No, they'll be taken down.
Okay.
They probably wouldn't even be up for 6 months. 90 tent would probably be up for a while, probably more than 6 months, and that would probably pay taxes. I think there's a rule, if a tent is up for a certain period, it pays
Right.
taxes. But most of the tents will be down. When the
Except
sun
I
is
guess
shining,
if
we
you
want
wound
the
up doing a
tent to be
skating
open.
rink, then you'd wind up having that would be set
That
up
would
for
be
whatever that
seasonal,
season. Yeah.
probably less than 4 months.
All right.
There's one tent that I didn't mention that you might find this interesting. I really enjoyed in this Leonia Park, they had an entertainment area in which 2 men acted as comedians, a dinosaur, person wearing a dinosaur costume came in and ate out of the kid's hands. It was thrilling to see this T-Rex, say 8 feet tall, reaching down and taking a peanut from a kid's hand. The kids was lovely. So we'll have an entertainment. That will be a tent.
I know you had mentioned these tunnels, and one would be a sound and light show, and then the other would be a fireworks. I assume that's all internal in the tunnel itself. It's not external.
In the tunnel.
Yeah. Okay.
The
'Cause
tunnel is
again-
created to create atmospheric for the children.
Right.
It doesn't serve any other purpose other than that. But once the tunnel exists, we might as well use it to create something that kids will remember, experience a sound and light. And we have EOS Media Lighting. They do all of Disney's lighting, doing that for us.
Yeah. Again, we just want to make sure that the quality of life impact on the residents is minimal. If you could just, and I don't want you to go into any legal issues, but what happened with Wallkill and why did they pass on this? And I'm not looking for anything long, but this could be a question that residents might ask. So I think if you can get it out there now, it kind of cuts it off.
And they didn't pass on it. They never rejected it. What happened was we were working on it for a year there, and the planning board was entirely for it. But there was a hurricane, you may remember, September 1st of last year. and they were going to vote it up on that. We were ready to go. And they canceled, for the first time in history, they canceled the planning board meeting. And then they scheduled a meeting for September 8th. On September 8th, the audio wasn't working. So the meeting was invalid because they announced it. It was the height of the pandemic, and without people being there, they were going to attend via Zoom. And the Zoom audio didn't work. By the time the next meeting came around, September 15th, Judge Joe Owen, you may remember him, he's the man who kept Woodstock from going to
Woodstock.
He's the man. He passed a zoning ordinance that said, he created it, that said if there's more than 5,000 people, you have to have public sewer. He did this 3 weeks before it was to open. And there's a video of him taken not even 2 months ago in which he says, I didn't want 45,000, 49,000 hippies coming to Wallkill. Each to each his own. There were 450,000 people that went to Woodstock, and it was the greatest gathering of young people in American history. It was peaceful, no one ever got hurt, but it didn't go to Wallkill, it went somewhere else. Well, Judge Owen got up and said, he lives on 100 acres, he's a lovely man. He lives on 100 acres, about 3/4 of a mile away, and said it didn't belong in this zone. The planning board, hearing that, said by a vote of 4-2, planning board chairman and somebody else supported us, 4 people didn't, said that we ought to give this to the Zoning Board of Adjustment to consider whether this use is proper in this RA zone. Well, the Zoning Board of Adjustment said it wasn't a proper use, and they invited us to buy another property in town. They really wanted it. But I felt I had been mistreated, and I didn't want to go there. And a week later, I got a call from Mr. Scanscarella, and the rest is, I hope, history.
Listen, the reason I ask you that is just to kind of get it out
I
there.
wanted to
Because
give you
otherwise
that's
people,
exactly what happened.
rumors.
We were never turned down. I withdrew the application.
Okay. And basically, it was just, we felt like going through the ZBA process would have been onerous and may not have resulted in, and I'm sure at that point you'd already spent quite a bit of money.
They wanted it to stay in Wallkill,
Yeah.
but
All right.
I didn't want to do that
Well,
anymore.
hopefully their loss is our gain. Amen. Yeah. All right, just a couple of other quick questions. I know Sal had mentioned the food trucks, and I understand your desire to have your own, your own food trucks there. I mean, we have a food truck festival that we do that Sal runs every year, and we get anywhere between 14 and 18 food trucks, and it's a really big. It's actually twice a year, the fall and in the spring, and maybe some of you kind of to throw a bone to the locals is maybe you have like a guest truck in there.
Certainly on the ice skating rink, we need people want to get hot chocolates if you have, and they want something to eat.
We could talk about
By
it.
all means.
Yeah.
Just something. I understand.
That was my
Absolutely.
thinking,
I-
was to support some of the.
Yeah, I understand your branding and that you want to do that, and again, for safety and, food safety and all that, I get it, but maybe that would be a good way to kind of bridge and get people in there. But yeah, if you do 12 seasons, then you could, that would be a good, definitely a good thing. Or my last question, and then we'll move along here. What do you foresee as your hours of operation, like peak?
Yeah, well, in the summer, we'd probably be open from 9:30. Well, people won't start arriving until 10, until around 9:30 at night. People will leave. We wouldn't admit anybody after 8 o'clock. But people, when they come in at 7 o'clock, want to spend 2.5 hours, 3 hours, we wouldn't kick them out, but no one else will be admitted. In the fall, when it gets dark, we would close roughly at 5:30 or 6, except for Dinosaurs After Dark, which would take place in the fall and spring time when it's still dark at 6 o'clock. But we want to make an exception because even though Mansion Ridge has an accommodation for weddings and other events, as does Hills Country Club, we have a venue here. Breakfast not reasonable. Or attorney here, Rick Golden.
Rick Golden.
Yeah, you know, that's perfectly lovely there, but Orange County needs the more I study Orange County, the fewer venues it turns out to be, and the county population is growing, and every group wants to have some kind of an event marking it the annual passage. So we want to be open for that. So if we did have an event for breakfast, we'd be open, say, at 8 for breakfast on those special occasions. And if there was a wedding on a Friday or Saturday or Sunday night, we'd probably stay open a little later to accommodate that. But the park itself would be closed.
All right, thanks. And I mean, I guess, water and sewer will come up during the planning process and secret and all that. So that's something we'll have to, look at, I think. Because that's not sewer over there, right?
There is a sewer hookup about 1,600 feet from the entrance to it.
Oh, okay. All right.
And I know Mr. Gold had a conversation with Legislator Toohey regarding that, so.
We would like very much to do that. When you mentioned sewer, let me bring up water. Our water demand is 10 gallons per minute, calculated by our engineering properties out of Montgomery. But our well there was 25 gallons per minute. We're here, I was never satisfied with one well. We're going to drill 2 wells. I want to try to develop 50 to 100 gallon capacity. You never know what could happen. One well not go dry, but something could go wrong. I want to have a backup well that is capped but ready to go. So we want to have more than enough water. Our sewage is roughly 14,600 gallons, but it may rise. We don't know. So I want to have excess capacity. That's why the public sewer, it's really a very small amount for a project of this size, 14,600 gallons. That's really very small. But I figure it could go to 20 in theory. I want to provide so we're not surprised, and you're not surprised as a town, as this project develops.
Thank you very much for coming this evening, but also for answering my questions. And I know there was a little. I just wanted to kind of cover a lot of the questions I know people have in mind. So, thank you again. It was a great presentation.
Thank you, Councilman McGinn. And I want to thank you for answering my questions, which Councilman McGinn asked. So there was about 4 of them. No, it was good.
Oh, okay.
It was good. So one question I did have, and it revolves around the quality. 2 of them revolve around the quality of life, especially for the residents in the area. I know you had discussed keeping a buffer there around the park between the residents and the park. Can you explain that a little bit?
Look at the site. I don't have a map.
No, I didn't.
But the site divides itself into 2. On either side of the abutting property that Mr. Dana owns. And each of those sides have a top and a bottom, so to speak. When we first looked at the site, and you look at it on Google, you don't see wetlands. You see only trees. But the wetlands are extensive. Probably half the site is wetlands. So we have to cross those wetlands. And if we can use the abutting, the easement, we can avoid going south from the entrance where people live. We would have almost nothing down there and keep 400 or 500 feet away. In addition, where we are closer than that, we'd plant 3 or 4 levels of pine or other non-deciduous trees, an all-year-round screen to block any noise. There shouldn't be very much noise here. Our noise study indicated that. But I think the whole purpose of the design was to keep away as much as possible from where the people live, as far as we can, and to put everything on the other side of the park, where it can be reached without being near houses. One side, I guess you'd call it east and south, has residences quite a distance away, but there are residences there. The other sides have no residences. It's bounded by the property that Dana owns and by a big pond. So we're very conscious of this, and we know that most people don't like, when I used to teach urban planning, there were 2 rules. People hate people. Nobody believed me, but it's absolutely true. And the last one in wants to be the last one in. And that's also too true. So we're very conscious of trying to make it as easy on existing residents as possible. It's something that we take very seriously.
All right, you mentioned noise. I'm going to assume that the dinosaur noise is going to be a minimum and is going to be kind of like in the general vicinity of the dinosaur.
Couldn't hear it at the next dinosaur, which is 250 feet away.
Okay. And then, in addition to that noise, the type of noise that this venue would put out is noise which is pretty much associated with a park, a recreational park.
Actually, it's human noise.
Yeah, okay.
I hope there's a lot of laughter.
Yeah, okay. Now,
Bill, would the train make a lot of noise?
No, it's an electric train. We deliberately did that,
Okay.
so we don't want to use combustion engine, and the train will have a bell, but it won't have a long distance. You saw the train, we'll have the same head of the dinosaur on the train.
the other thing, one of the questions or concerns that Mr. McGinn raised was the guest food truck or something of that sort. I think if you did do something like that, and even if it's once or twice a week, and you incorporated the other local businesses here, like if you had a breakfast event or something, and you brought in.
We would, someone in Monroe would cater that.
Yeah.
We wouldn't do that.
Right, okay, and that's
Yeah,
what I was going to say. I was going to.
That's great.
I was going to go on to lunches and make sure
Whatever it is, other than the dinosaur park itself, anything related to entertaining other people in
Catering.
venues, conferences, that would all be using
Local businesses.
resources of local people. Absolutely.
Now, with your wells, are you creating storage tanks? With
Whatever
the
we're
wells?
required to, DEC will watch us with the hawk eyes.
Okay.
And we'll comply in every respect. One of the things that using public sewer will do will save us probably 4 months before DEC, which would be the case if we did leaching fields. So I very much hope we can use the public sewer.
That's all I have. Questions? We all understand this is the infancy stages so much. I mean, we have spoken with our council. Council has kind of drafted pretty much a lease up that we can hopefully pass a resolution on tonight, basically with his guidance and his approval. But I think that's where we'd like to be. Did you want to add anything there, council?
That the resolution, if authorized, you to execute the lease will be subject to the lease being in a final form approved by our office.
Has any more questions down that route? Does the board have any desire? Not?
Because it has to go before the planning board, so if we could approve it tonight from our aspect of it, I think it would be setting them on the right track.
Good.
Want to read a resolution?
Making a murder is
I'll read the resolution into the record, and one of the board members will need to make the motion or adopt it. Okay? So the resolution is a resolution authorizing the town supervisor to execute a lease of town-owned land, whereas the town of Monroe is the owner of certain property consisting of approximately 131 acres on Orange Turnpike in the town and identified on the tax map as Section 31, Block 1, Lot 7.11, referred to the property hereinafter, whereas the town has an opportunity to lease the property to Orange County Dinosaur Park LLC, the lessee, to facilitate an active recreational use on the site that would incorporate both educational and recreational components for the benefit of the town residents and provide fiscal benefits to the town. And whereas the town desires to enter into a lease with the lessee, which shall include, among other provisions, a requirement that such land shall only be utilized for active recreational purposes. Section 1, the above whereas clauses are incorporated herein as set forth in full. Section 2, the town board hereby authorizes the town supervisor to execute a lease of the property in a final form that is approved by the town's legal counsel. Section 3, the town supervisor and any official, employee, or consultant as directed by the town supervisor is hereby authorized to take any and all actions necessary to carry out the provisions of this resolution. Section 4, this resolution is subject to permissive referendum pursuant to Article 7 of the New York State Town Law. And Section 5, this resolution shall be effective immediately.
I would like to make a motion to have the supervisor sign the lease for the property for the dinosaur park.
Who will second that?
Any other discussion? Mike, do you want a dinosaur named after you? I can add it in now.
The Mike McGinnisaurus.
I have him on the hot seat right now. He's pressured, right?
Call it the Chinosaurus, maybe? Or,
What's that, Mary?
McGinnisaurus.
McGinnisaurus. There we go. Okay, if nobody has anything else to add, call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Who aye?
Cardone, aye.
Ancarello, aye.
Good night.
Okay, so moved. Thank you. What's that? Dynamite.
Oh, that deserves a stuffy.
Oh, boy.
So,
Thank you
all
very
right,
much.
you're welcome. Thank you.
Neil.
I'm sure council will be in touch with you in the near future. Thank you very much, Susanna, for joining us.
Thanks.
Thank you, Neil.
Pleasure meeting you.
Yeah, we thought you were going to leave the dinosaurs.
Yeah, there's 5 dinosaurs, one for
Five
each
Get
town
back to our
board.
your son wants his dinosaurs back.
Yeah, he has many others.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah,
I'm
and
sure.
he knows where they
No.
all are.
He
Yeah,
won't part
yeah.
with those.
He knows them all by name.
Yeah.
Can't wait to have his 9th birthday or his 8th birthday.
Well, that would be something to.
That would be
something-
great.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Have
I
a
can't
good
wait to
evening.
see him
Have a
cut
good night.
the ribbon.
What's that?
I can't wait to see him cut the
Oh,
ribbon.
yeah, absolutely.
We have to get dinosaur scissors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Neat.
Thank you.
Yes.
Drive carefully.
Yes.
Storms are coming tonight.
Yeah. Supposed to be windy and stormy.
Hairs out of the way. So I hope it doesn't blow any Tony's hairs out of the way.
My expense? Yeah.
I told him it wasn't funny, Supervisor.
What's that?
I told him it was not funny.
All right. Okay, item 8.2, Round Lake Treatment Contract. This is basically on here. We have an automatic renewal on this for the treatment. Treatment will be done commencing sometime in mid-April. I'm sorry, the monitoring will be done sometime in mid-April to May, and then twice a month, June through August. There will be quality monitoring 3 times a year in May, June, and July, and then the weed treatment will happen between May and August. So the contract automatically renewed, but there was a 3% increase. So I am asking, I would like to make a motion to approve the increase over the 2021 season, and the cost for 2022 is $24,189.55.
Bingham to second for discussion.
Go ahead.
Planktonic algae control is available, but at additional cost. Do we know what that additional cost is?
It's in the contract, and I would, let's see if I can bring that up here.
Because just in case when they're doing their monitoring, they find they need it, I'd rather have that included in the total.
we approved it last year, I believe. So I don't see it.
Yeah, because it does say an additional cost. I don't know if it's $100 or, you know.
No, it's a couple thousand.
I figured it had to be.
I mean, I see this, I don't know if it's the same as the optional lake unicellular algae control on the service contract. There's a couple of different prices there. One's 3,780, one's additional charges they see in there. Different optional
The second question would be is how much do we have budgeted for this already?
So I believe it was 25,000 that we. Find the price, that, not going to be done.
Do this, and then if,
Forward with this, approve this, and then we can, Mary, you are allowed in the future to email me prior to the meeting so I could look this stuff up prior to the meeting.
as long as it doesn't come at 4 o'clock on the day of the meeting.
Oh, it can come at 4 o'clock. I have
It's
no
not
problem.
midnight. That's my hour.
All right.
Have we thought about doing any weed harvesting?
Don't want to get into that because of the types of weeds there.
Okay,
They break up and make more.
okay.
Yeah.
You get in the weeds.
All right, so let's move forward here and call the question if there's no other questions.
Bingham, aye.
Cool, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Ancarello, aye.
Again,
So moved. Okay. Thank you. Item 8.3, Highway Department Infrastructure Report. There's nothing to be voted on this. I just wanted you all to have it. I emailed it to you late this afternoon, just so you have it for review. Mr. Brown had completed it and was contemplating doing something else, but we left it the way it is. So I think it was a pretty extensive analysis of what the Highway Department has under their oversight: culverts, catch basins, hydrants, guardrails, roadways, et cetera. So you have that. If anybody has any questions. Item 8.4 is the Village of Monroe had requested a possible increase in fireworks for their 4th of July celebration this year. The charge that they have this year is $15,000, and currently the town of Monroe contributes $7,500. The Village of Harriman contributes $2,000. There were two options that they were looking at if we decided to increase our contribution to fireworks. One was $2,500 and the other was $5,000, and the difference was the number of shells that would be lit up on that evening. So. Fine.
Have they ever looked into sponsorship to help facilitate some of the new costs?
In my experience, no. Sponsors have not been brought in to try to bring in some more elements to this. I'm looking at these two costs, and I'm wondering, it says that the shell count will be increased by 72 3-inch, 36 4-inch. For $2,500, we're going to get additional 118 shells on top of what we already?
Yeah.
Wow.
Why do we need more? Why do they need more?
I don't know that we necessarily need
It's a
more
great show.
shells. But I do think that there would be an opportunity to increase the event in total, maybe increase the number of bands that are playing, the entertainment portion of that. So let me have a conversation with the village and see if there's been any discussion of increasing the entertainment end of it.
I'm
Yeah,
just
I
thinking
think-
of this, go ahead.
I mean, I think from maybe the reason for wanting to increase the number of shells is sometimes there's a lot of like kind of lag as you're going through it, and at the end it's tremendous. It's the crescendo, the finale.
Right.
But there seems to be times when during the actual display, I guess, where there's gaps or it's a little slow. Maybe on a more constant, to kind of keep the crowd enthused, And I don't know. I mean, that's my own observation. I haven't heard that from anybody, have not spoken to anybody in the village about it or anything like that, So, listen, I think you're right. I mean, I think if you can do more to, pull people downtown, that's fantastic, I mean, it's a pretty good crowd.
Right, it's
my
always
God.
had a good
Yeah.
turnout.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
It's
I
got to
mean,
be the biggest event of the year.
That the village has, absolutely.
Yeah.
Aside from the carnival, which is days, but
For this one-day
that
event,
one-day
yes. Yes.
fireworks celebration is incredible. And I don't know why they'd want to increase the fireworks show. It's a great show as it is.
The terminology in the letter was they want to increase the intensity.
Okay, so you're right on point.
And I know, because I've heard that from people about, like, it just seems, when they compare it to other shows. Sorry, George. At this one, it's slow at points, and I think they are looking to kind of intensify it, if I had to read through what they're saying here.
So from
Dory, you're like, I think it's intense enough, but,
from my standpoint, as a budget officer, we have budgeted everything okay already. So if we do make an additional contribution to them, it's going to be taken away from one of our events. I know we increased things in our celebration budget, but those were to be put towards the trunk or treat and trunk or trees and the food truck festival.
We have a new event this year.
Trunk or trees.
Trunk or trees, yeah.
Trunk or trees, yeah.
so
So
maybe this would be a good time for them to look for
Ori, let me
sponsorship
Sponsors.
donations.
let me ask you a question. Are they
Sure.
locked into the same company that does the fireworks every year, or is it?
So this letter is most likely coming in front of the signing of the contract. That contract will have to be signed in time to do the fireworks presentation. We've had opportunities to deal with other companies. Legion gives us the best price, and they give us a great show. We did meet with another company that was able to do a bit more. They do some shows down in New York City. They were also impressive, but the cost was considerably more. And Legion is, they do have connections to Monroe, so, we want to keep this. We want to keep this local. There's always an opportunity to improve events, and I think that's the direction that the village is trying to go in. I am concerned about adding any additional monies from us to them, since we haven't budgeted that, and we have had to say no to other people who came to us looking for money to sponsor some things. So, yeah, I think it's worth a conversation and see if there's something that we can do. So now, if we were to increase it by, let's say, $2,500, we'd most likely be on the hook for, what, about $1,200 of that?
or whatever we say we want to increase
Okay.
it. Yeah, I mean, we could say $100, we could say $500, we could say nothing. And
Oh, so really that, whatever that number is would be split between us and the other two municipalities?
Well, no, Harriman has already said
They're,
they're budgeted out too.
yeah, yeah. Well, again, and yeah, I think sponsorship would probably be the way to go. It's not a lot to raise for sponsorship.
It's not, if they're looking for 25.
May I ask, is this just a village event, or what?
Village of Harriman, well, it's a Village of Monroe event, and it's co-sponsored by Village of Harriman and the town of Monroe.
But everybody from the entire county comes there to watch it.
Yeah, so obviously the town's involved in some.
Well, the county comes too, so I don't know if the county could, pitch in.
My thought is just that you should have some type of,
Done too.
I don't know if there's anything memorializing this, but you're allowed as a town to expend money for an Independence Day celebration, but that's obviously for your town. If you're doing it with another municipality, there should be something in writing between the parties, saying this is what you're doing collectively. You aren't really and shouldn't be just donating to the village, so to speak, as a town. You can expend money for that purpose, but there should be some
So
agreement.
what do we need, an IMA or a
It
letter?
doesn't have to be a long one, just a short recognizing the money. It should be a joint, effort. It sounds like it is if you're saying co-sponsored, but just technically or legally, you shouldn't be sponsoring an event. You can expend money under town law for that purpose, and probably it's fine because it's still within the town, but there should be some understanding that's the reason you're doing it, that, you're authorized to expend money.
So I would like to make, pass a resolution authorizing council to draft a letter to the village attorney explaining just that, and so we get the contract or IMA back. I'll make
Second.
a question.
Give an
Aye.
amount,
Full
or
aye.
Cardone, aye.
Ankarello, aye.
And I,
The amount would be 7,500 currently, with the possibility of it rising. Okay?
I'll reach out to.
That clarification, council.
Welcome, Supervisor.
All right. So are we planning on tabling this then?
I think we've already kind of come to the conclusion that we budgeted what we budgeted, and maybe,
You can always do an authorized up to amount tonight if you wanted. I mean, you're going to meet again prior to this anyway, but you could authorize up to a certain amount subject to the, execution of an IMA.
so why don't we authorize it up to the amount that we've budgeted for it, and then if there needs to be an additional expenditure, we'll.
Got to do another.
No, I think you can authorize the amount, in other words, but if you are going to
500?
increase it, you'll have to do that at another meeting, that's all. The IMA just would get changed.
Yeah.
As far
Okay.
as an amount, that's all.
All right. So call the question.
What's
We
the
don't have an
exact-
amount.
We don't have an amount.
All right,
No, we have an amount, 7,500.
All right, I'll make a motion that we authorize the expenditure of $7,500 as budgeted for the Village of Monroe fireworks on July 1st, July 2nd. I'm sorry, it is July 1st. Rain date, July 2nd, 2022. And that such amount be reflected in the IMA that Mr. Nugent has so eloquently and professionally determined that we need for this motion.
I'll second that.
Any other discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Full aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scankarello, aye.
Can I?
So moved. Okay. Item 8.5, I'd like to table because I have not heard back from the ZBA chair. So I'll make a motion to table that.
Second that.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Full aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scankarello, aye.
Can I?
Okay. Next item, 8.6, is a planning board appointment. So I guess, let me get to the appointment first, and then we'll discuss the possible alternatives moving forward for the planning board. So slot one, presently there's a holdover in that slot, and Lisa McQuaid, whereby that term expired 12/31/2021. We had a gentleman who came to our open house. He expressed interest, actually wrote a letter that evening, was interviewed by Planning Board Chair, and she felt the best avenue to take was to appoint Nicholas Napoli to slot number 1, where the holdover currently exists. And that term would expire on 12/31/2028. So I will make that motion to appoint Nicholas Napoli to the Planning Board, slot number 1, for an expiration of 12/31/2028.
Second for discussion.
Go ahead.
What is his background? I think it, like you said, it was a one letter, one line or two line sentence
So
that he wrote.
He's got a construction background.
Okay,
And he has, I think, some sort of mechanical engineering or mechanical work that is done. He knows how to read plans, he understands the process. I mean, that was, Ani was very impressed with him. She thought he was extremely enthusiastic, and she thought that, new blood could really,
I agree, new blood is needed over there.
yeah.
Yeah, we lost Anthony, who was a wealth of knowledge, so getting some new blood with somebody with some construction, able to read site plans and that, I think it's very beneficial.
Anything else? Call the question?
Bingham, aye.
All aye.
Cardone, aye.
Good night.
Okay, so moved. The other aspect of this is, council has devised a schedule, and this was based on Councilwoman Bingham's suggestion, that the planning board be reduced to 5 members versus the current 7. So we would have to set a public hearing in order to create a new town law to do that?
Yeah, you need to enact a local law in order to reduce from 7 to 5.
Okay. At the public hearing tonight,
Yes.
and then I guess we could discuss the different terms at that public hearing rather than tonight.
Yeah, you don't need to discuss the actual terms. The only requirement in the state statute is that it takes effect on the expiration of the next 2 terms that expire from after you enact the law. The next 2 terms that expire, then the 5 becomes effective.
Thanks for coming, Legislator Tui. Appreciate it. Oh, okay. Pete? Pete?
He's coming back.
No, there's water in the refrigerator. I can grab a bottle in there.
Yeah, so I think the terms will take care of themselves, because once they expire and you'll appoint somebody new, you'll either reappoint somebody or you'll appoint somebody new to the 5-year term at that point. So
Okay.
it's not like you have to deal with the terms right now.
Okay, all right. I will make a motion that we hold a public hearing on April 4th, 2022, at 7 p.m. or immediately thereafter, to discuss a local law regarding the amount of members on the planning board.
Bingham to second.
Question?
Bingham, aye.
All aye.
Cardone, aye.
Ancarello, aye.
Good night.
So moved. Hey, Pete, if you want, in the refrigerator, there's bottles of water. No, actually, you know what, I will take one. Yeah, it's on that side, the left-hand refrigerator door, there's a case of water. No, she's got it, Val's got it. Okay, all right, item 9.1 is old business, 16 Mercury Avenue, the request for town water, an outside users agreement for Sora Horowitz. So the operating and maintenance costs associated with the user that would be admitted into the district as an outside user is $8,000, I think $204.41.
$8,100.41.
$1,102.41. Thank you. So, in order for us to admit the Horowitz family into the district, a fee of $8,102.41 would have to be paid. Prior to that, we could make that motion contingent upon that payment, council? Okay. So, Councilwoman Bingham, did you want to make that motion?
Motion.
I'll second.
Okay. Question?
Bingham, aye.
Pool eye.
Cardone, aye.
Ancarilla, aye.
Good night.
Okay. Do we have to have a public hearing regarding that, or no? No, for the outside water district? No.
You would just
Okay.
authorize, that's it. You authorize the agreement,
Okay.
and then we prepare it and you execute.
All right, so somebody have to make the supervisor to sign the agreement,
Final form,
final form approved by...
I have it in basic draft right now, but
Yeah.
we need some information that'll have to go into that
We need
agreement.
the new rates and...
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we also have to find out if this family really wants to do it, because they just found out that fee tonight, right? Okay. So I'll make the motion as Mr. Nugent had suggested to be approved with legal counsel's review.
I'll
And
second.
for the supervisor to sign.
Seconded by Councilman Scancarello. Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Pool eye.
Cardone, aye.
Ancarilla, aye.
Good night.
Okay, so moved. Next item up is the 9.2 Justice Court account transfer request. We need a motion to approve transferring those funds. Council has stated that local law allows me to sign off on that.
It was a controller's opinion that said that if a judge is deceased, that the town supervisor is authorized to be the signer on the account.
I'll second that motion.
You want to make the motion and I'll second it, seeing as though supervisor has to sign it? We need a
Yeah,
first, right?
I'll make the, yeah, actually, that's probably a good idea. Yeah, since I'm the court liaison, yeah, I'll make a motion that the, authorizing the supervisor to do the transfer from the deceased judge's account to the town fund. And to become a signer on the account. Thank you.
Hold-
Question.
Question, is also the Winchester account? She didn't expire, but is that included? Because you,
I'm not aware if it is. I mean, you had the same
right,
They have
Authority.
the same authority
same
with that.
authority if
It's
you want to
saying
do
it's-
both.
She expired in a different way.
Not coming
yes,
back.
that's what I wanted to clarify. She's not, okay, then I'll vote aye.
Pool eye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarella, aye.
Good night.
Okay. So next item up is the Verizon tower at Professional Square. So we received a letter from Sean Arnott from McGooey Hauser and Etzel, basically saying that their office has reviewed said cost estimate and takes no exception to the $65,000 amount, which is to cover the cost of removal of the proposed antenna and any accessory equipment structures on the site in the event the facility is decommissioned.
That's a performance bond that the town would keep?
Excuse me?
And that's a performance bond that?
A removal bond.
A removal, yeah,
Removal
not,
bond,
yeah,
yeah.
right.
Yep, and that's for Professional Square off 491 State Route 208.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it. Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Pool eye.
Cardone, aye.
Ancarilla, aye.
Good night.
Okay, so moved. Public comment. Nothing, Ward? Mr. Toohey?
Everybody knows.
Speak into the microphone.
Our Great County Executive, Steve Newhouse, is deployed. He left last Wednesday for some pre-deployment orders, and he will be going over to Europe And I just ask everybody to keep him and his family and all of us here in their prayers, and wish him Godspeed. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you,
Thank you.
thank you
Thank
for
you.
mentioning that.
Thanks, Pete.
Okay, one other item I have, Councilman, Assemblyman Colin Schmidt had a press conference today, which Legislator Toohey and I attended up in New Windsor, and it was pertaining to the drastic rise in gas prices and the effect it has on the consumers, the economy, businesses, and everything associated with what we purchase. He had a bill on the floor, which is a live bill, that will hopefully be passed in the next day or two, which would immediately reduce gas prices by a minimum of 20 cents, and that was on the sales tax, and what was the other, was it? Yeah, so there were two taxes that could.
State and Axe.
Yes, yep, yeah. So, it was so ironic because 5 minutes before we're getting ready to do the press conference, the two gas stations across the street went from 409 to 429. Wow. So, it's a little wacky, and Colin was as steadfast as he always is, and he was basically professing that he supports all energy, but this is something that really directly affects the pocketbooks of the consumers and businesses. And after what everybody's gone through after COVID, it is essential that there's some type of halt and restrictions placed on these rising costs. So,
Yeah, I mean, obviously this could affect our, municipal budgeting.
yeah,
I don't know. I know we get our fuel through the school district, and I don't know what they're, but they're rising like everybody else. And I know, I guess we're gonna have to see where this goes.
yeah. So much for 58.5 cents a mile.
Yeah, I mean, you know where it goes.
We
through
are
there,
going to
you
have
know?
to increase that.
Now, Brian, is that increase done federally?
Mileage?
Yeah, yeah.
IRS based.
It's what?
IRS.
Yeah, the IRS, yeah.
So they would have to change it
Yeah.
for reimbursement or whatever purposes you would determine. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not to say it's a minimum. You could choose to pay more, of course. That's the floor.
Oh, I got you. Yeah.
All right. Anybody have anything else? Thanks for your interest and questions tonight with reference to the Dinosaur Park. And I think it's just the infancy stage of what hopefully will be a great benefit to the town and its residents. Yes, we're going to have to go into executive, yeah. So with that said, I'll make a motion to go into executive session to discuss litigation and,
Other litigation.
both litigation, yeah.
Litigation and litigation.
Litigation.
And then we also have litigation.
Attorney-client.
Yes, okay.
More litigation. More
Can I get a second?
Bingham to second.
Councilwoman Bingham, call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Full eye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Good night.
So moved.
Love thunderstorms.
It's between.
Mike, you talking to ones?
There was just a few. Maybe two.
No, I'm not. I signed the top one.
Oh, it's not a 3 signature thing?
No, it's two.
Oh, okay.
'Cause it's
I
already-
just noticed that some were signed by him, some weren't, that's all.
You gotta sign that one.
Oh, I missed some? Oh, well, thank God that you saw that, Mr. Supervisor.
Oh, there is. No, you're right, Mike. There
that
is.
you?
Yeah, there is one.
Was that you, Bangor?
Or it was.
Of course I'm right.
That one?
Okay, George, you ready down there? Ready, All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
We
All
call that
right.
Drumming.
Okay. I will make a motion to return to our regularly scheduled meeting,
I'll
Who will
second.
seconded by Councilwoman Hool. Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Pool eye.
Cardone, aye.
Pancarello, aye.
McGinn, aye.
So moved. After executive session, there was nothing that needed any decision to be made. So with that, motion to adjourn this evening meeting, March 7th, 2021.
I think we're at March 7th, 2021.
What's that?
I thought you adjourned.
2022.
2022. 2022, long night.
Yes, you're right, you're right.
You're welcome.
Do I get a second?
I'll second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Pool eye.
Cardone, aye.
Pancarello, aye.
And I.
Okay, everyone have a great St. Patrick's Day. Be safe and enjoy the Blarney.